guys, today we're going to be reviewing Avengers Endgame. So, before we head into our thoughts and feelings on the latest Avengers Endgame, quick disclaimer, obviously, there's going to be some massive major spoilers. I would hate to ruin it for you. So, unless you want spoilers, stick around. But yeah, if you haven't seen the movie yet, do not watch this video. So, that being said, Stephanie, what are your very general overall feelings about Avengers Endgame? How did it make you feel?
It was good. I'll be honest, I told Stacie this. I didn't think it was as good as Infinity War. I'm not gonna lie about that. I'm not gonna be all like hyping it up and crap.
Well, why? Why exactly?
I don't know. I thought there was a lot of slow moments to me.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. A lot
of
of times though, it takes me a second viewing of a movie. I am never
to appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm never a person who can watch a movie one time and immediately like it. Like, I've always been like that. It's like super rare for me to be like, I love that movie in one viewing. Infinity War, I loved it in one viewing. I mean, I still liked Endgame, but I feel like I might need a second viewing.
Really? So you thought there were places that were too slow for you? Was it did you just not like the character stuff?
I don't know.
Because for me, I think I'm the opposite because there was a lot of action and I really liked all the action, but I actually really liked a lot of those slower moments with the characters. Because a lot of the characters, this is the last time we're seeing some of them.
I don't know
because a lot of these, especially the big major 6 characters, I think, you know, they're not popping up in other movies unless they're more as a cameo or something.
I don't know if it was the thing of Infinity War. You got like this crap ton of superheroes, and then they all get taken away, and then you get this movie that's back just down to the core, however many. Like 8 or so, you know? Like, I don't know if like, you were so overwhelmed with Infinity War with all those characters that now they drop it down again.
Well, you got your big battle at the end with everybody standing.
Yeah, well, that was just short. That was just...
Okay, so Stephanie, in conclusion with Stephanie, she liked the movie.
I liked the movie.
But you preferred the spectacle of Infinity War.
Yeah.
I guess. Whereas I'm the opposite. I definitely, because I really loved Endgame. I freaking loved Endgame from start to finish, and I really liked all those smaller character moments. And yeah, this movie's 3 freaking hours, you guys. Was it more than 3 hours?
No, it was just like, I think 4 minutes over or something.
So yeah, this movie was 3 hours. It never felt like 3 hours to me, I don't think. But for you, did it feel like 3 hours to you?
No, it's just... No.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it did feel like a long movie, but not like a 3 hour, it's a dragging movie. But I mean, it did feel long, but not like, oh my god.
Yeah, I went into it worried because I was like, oh my goodness, because, you know, 3 hour movies aren't really made that often, and especially for blockbuster movies like this, they don't make 3 hour movies like that much.
I mean, I know I said I didn't like some of the parts, but that doesn't mean that I was sitting there thinking, man, this is a long movie.
Well, yeah, I was worried. I had my concerns going into it that it would feel long, but yeah, it never felt long. I think there was always something going on. There was always some sort of forward momentum with the characters that kept me interested and engaged with the whole thing. And yeah, I just felt like well, because yeah, like I said, I mean, I like that the movie did focus down and narrow down to a select group of characters, because I felt like they were able to focus on those characters a little bit better than what they did with Infinity War. Because yeah, there were a huge amount of characters in Infinity War, and you just didn't really get to spend a really long time with certain people. So yeah, overall, I really freaking love the movie. Stephanie, she's a couple pegs down, a little bit from me, but that's okay. You want to get into the specifics, I guess?
Sure.
Let's get into the specifics, if I can pronounce that word. Okay, so we open up Tony and Nebula. You know, we ended Infinity War. They're a little bit in peril because it's like, well, how are they going to get back down to Earth? So Tony and Nebula, they're in peril. Tony's like on the brink of death. I thought we were going to lose Tony like in the first 5 minutes. I was like, oh my god.
I would have thought that if the trailers hadn't have spoiled,
like, showed Iron Man
that
in the commercials.
he was in, was in it more.
Yeah, I was a little worried about Tony because I was like, oh my god, we're going to lose Tony here in like the first 5-10 minutes. And then I was still worried about Tony even when they came back down.
Yeah,
even when he was rescued, and he was really...
and that was
ill.
crazy. I was like, oh, Tony!
Yeah, he was really ill. I don't know if it was the effects of space.
I think it was supposed to be,
Because, I think it was a combination of the effects of space just really getting to him, being up there, kind of the lack of oxygen going down and really getting to him. Plus, I mean, he had that injury. Mm-hmm. You know, we saw Nebula kind of patching him up, and I think he even mentioned something about he had an infection at first, but it started slowing down.
Yeah, he said it finished.
Yeah, so a combination of just the effects of space, the oxygen slowly dwindling, his injury that Thanos gave him from Infinity War,
lack of food and water.
Lack of food and water. I think just his emotional headspace. I mean, he spends the whole movie feeling like he failed everybody, you know. So his emotional headspace. He's not even sure if Pepper's alive. So Tony's he's a big mess at the beginning. And I really liked all that stuff with him because Robert Downey Jr. just like you never really get to see Tony Stark be serious sometimes.
Yeah,
you know, it's like he did a really good job there, just with that emotional stuff that I really enjoyed. So Tony, hi, our cat's up here. She's gonna spend the review with us, maybe. So before Tony and Nebula are even saved, they're rescued because of Carol Danvers, aka Captain Marvel. Let's talk about Captain Marvel for just a few minutes here. What?
I was just gonna say I loved the duo of Tony and Nebula. Like, I don't know.
Like in space together.
Yeah.
They're forced to get along.
Yeah, because I like that they were like playing games and stuff, and like she's, you know, how she's like all like, they were playing that game, and she's like, it was fun. Like I just thought, I was like, they're the least likely people to hang out.
Yeah.
But here they are hanging out, and he's like trying to like cheer, even though you know he's having a rough time, but he's trying to cheer her up.
Yeah.
And she's
lost a lot too. But Carol Danvers. Let's talk about Carol Danvers real quick. Like, I was kind of a little disappointed with the lack of Carol in this movie. I don't know if they had to really control her screen time because she is essentially the most powerful character. You know, she is essentially the most single-handedly powerful character in every single character that we have, and I feel like she really just needed to serve a couple purposes. She needed to come in and rescue Tony and Nebula, and then she comes in at the final battle right as things are kind of looking bad, and she helps out, you know. But they do explain that the reason she's not really been hanging around is because of her powers. She's able to sit and go all over the place. She's able to go over the entire freaking universe and help other planets in need, you know. But I was a little disappointed with the lack of Captain Marvel because she really just came in the 2 times for 2 pivotal moments. And I feel like that was because she is super powerful and strong, that it's like we can't have her this whole movie because the movie would be over. She just goes and she can just go and kill Thanos and that's it. You know?
Infinity War sat there and like hyped her up. You know, like, oh, really we're bringing in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
But then you bring her in for 3 scenes.
Yeah. That's the thing. She's hyped, she gets her own movie, you get excited, and she's barely getting there. So I would have liked a little bit more there, but I can kind of understand why they had to hold back on her a little bit more. Okay, so Carol rescues Tony and Nebula. They are reunited with the remaining Avengers. And, really, like I said, a really emotional scene there with that back and forth between Steve and Tony because of their opposing viewpoints, especially with the Sokovia Accords and how they were kind of fighting about that, you know, because then Tony's like, I told you so, you know, because Steve didn't want the Accords, right, but Tony did, and Tony's excuse is, you know, if we had signed the Accords, we wouldn't be in this predicament right now. And then we move to Nebula. It's thanks to Nebula that we're able to go find Thanos, and they find that little place he's hiding out at and whatnot.
Farmer Thanos?
Huh?
Farmer Thanos?
Yeah, Farmer Thanos. He's out there. We see that he's been injured. The gauntlet, when it was destroyed, had some sort of effect on him. He's weakened. He's not even putting up a fight. And we got this back and forth, and they're like, hey, give us the stones. He's like, I don't got the stones. They were destroyed. So that's all gone. They think they can just use them and reverse everything, but they can't. And just one of those shocking things that happens literally right here in the first like 10-15 minutes. Thor just beheads Thanos. What were your thoughts when Thanos was just wiped out like that? Right there at the very beginning.
I mean, there's nothing else they could do. There's nothing else Thanos could do. But yeah, it's kind of like you spend all of Infinity War with him, and now you're like, oh, now I'm just going to chop his head off.
They're really building him up. Yeah, I was shocked because I was like, wait a minute, what's the rest of this movie about?
Yeah, like...
You know, I was like, because, you know, you clearly see Thanos in the trailers. So I was like, wait, what's going to continue to happen here? Because, yeah, that was just really surprising. They killed their big villain there. And quite unceremoniously in some ways. Thor just comes on
now
there.
Thor did the job right.
Yeah, because Thor has his arc as well about feeling guilty, and that's him trying to atone, and it's not really working for him, as we see 5 years later. So yeah, speaking of the 5 years later, we're going to flash forward 5 years later. I wasn't expecting to flash forward at all. I don't think. I was expecting maybe just a couple months would go by, but yeah, we get a full 5 years later, and there's a lot of things that has changed. Tony has a daughter, him and Pepper are married, and yeah, thanks. I have here in my notes. Thanks to a rat. Scott Lang returns.
Yeah, see, people are like, that rat was the real MVP of the movie, because without him, we wouldn't have nothing.
Well, yeah, because Scott is kind of the big pivotal thing here, because he's the one who brings up the time travel because of the quantum realm and stuff. Because he says that he's only spent 5 hours there, which is interesting. So yeah, Scott comes back. He's in shock because he don't understand what's happened, but he does get reunited with his daughter, which was nice, and she's all grown up. So that's kind of sad for him that he's missed all that. Yeah, he brings up the idea of the time travel, which is an interesting aspect that's never been played before with in any of the Marvel movies. Even though, like, in the comics, time travel is a big deal, you know? Yeah, they all head out to go ask for Tony's help, find out he has a family and a daughter. Tony's like, no, I don't want to help out. But it's like, Tony, still being Tony, he still works behind the scenes to see if he can develop something. And he does. He develops something that works.
I think maybe he just doesn't want people to know, because if things don't work out, like, there's not that false hope. Like, only he'll know about it.
Yeah. So Tony does craft something. You know, a lot of the stuff with the time travel, the mechanics of it, the science of it, a lot of those scenes where they were kind of explaining it, I don't really know what the hell they were talking about. But I was just kind of going with it, you know? And, like, even the characters, like, the regular characters, like, you know, like Scott, you know, people who aren't brilliant with science. They all were like, what are you talking about? I don't understand. You know, they're kind of the audience, representing the audience who are confused as well. So, yeah, we get to some of the other Avengers being recruited, you know, what everyone's been up to. Bruce is permanently Hulk now? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
He said he underwent something to permanently make himself Bruce, or to make himself Hulk, but he's Bruce and Hulk at the same time.
Or he did something to himself because he figured out he needs to become one.
Yeah,
like with the brain and the brawn.
Yeah, the brain and the brawn. He has his intelligence, but then he also has the bulky side of him. So that was funny. I liked everything with the Hulk in this. Just him speaking eloquently, like Bruce. So Bruce, after all that, we see him go and recruit a drunken Thor at New Asgard. And good lord, drunken Thor. This was
chunky drunken Thor.
This was a shock with Thor, because then they pan around and he's all fat because he's been drinking and eating and doing nothing else with his life. That was hilarious. Drunken Thor in this whole movie was hilarious. He's unkempt. He's just constantly drinking and eating the whole movie. You know, I thought at some point in the movie he would get his act together. And while they were sitting there preparing, you know, the device for the time travel, I thought when they were ready to time travel, I thought he was going to pop back up and his hair would be cut off, and I thought he would be back in shape.
Yeah.
And they would be like, how'd you get in shape so quickly? And I thought he was going to say, oh, I only did a 3-hour workout or something. You know, I was prepared for him to say that he just worked out for a couple hours and he was fit and sexy again, because, you know, he's a god and that might happen. I don't know. But yeah, he looked that way the entire movie, and I was a little frustrated with that, because I wanted, you know, sexy Chris Hemsworth. the whole movie, you know. Okay, so yeah, like we were talking about with Thor, you know, Thor's in a really low place because he feels guilty because he didn't chop off Thanos' head to begin with when he could have had the chance to. So I really like his character arc. I think the main three, Captain America and Tony and Thor, I think they had like the really good arcs with their characters as far as just their guilt about everything. Natasha, she goes in and recruits a vengeful Clint Barton. We see it in the opening minutes. God, those opening minutes of the movie were really chilling because he's out there playing with his kids. They all vanish. His kids vanish. His wife vanishes. He's out there alone.
I just thought the people behind us, just want to put this in, that the people behind us were kind of dumb. Like, I mean, immediately I knew that opening scene with Clint was that his family was going to vanish. And the people behind us were like, oh no. Like, they didn't know that was going to happen. Like, seriously, you didn't know that was going to happen?
Yeah, I was expecting it, yeah.
I was just sitting there like...
It was still shocking, you know. I was still like, oh, but I knew it was coming. So yeah, Clint, he's just in rampage mode. We hear about him that he's just running around killing people as if that's going to bring his family back. I think it's just
that's
him.
The kind of movie I want right there. I want that spin-off movie.
He turns into like John Wick or something. I think Clint's just trying to ease his pain, like, he needs to just keep fighting in order to do something.
Well, it's just funny, because all these people are, I mean, half the universe got wiped out, and now he's still going around killing people, but he's killing people who are still killing people as well, because he was sitting there killing, like, big bad mafia
Rug lords, it sounds like.
So it's just like, that half the population was already wiped out, yet there's still killing going on. Like, it still doesn't matter that if you wiped out half the population for the greater good, because that's essentially what Thanos was trying to do, right? So it still doesn't matter if you do that. There's still sucky people in the world going around killing other people.
Yeah. So Natasha recruits Clint. At first, he's a little, he doesn't really want to come either, but she gets him to their side. So yeah, we finally get all of our main Avengers together. I really liked this kind of build up to it. So we get to what the big plan is, the big plan of what everyone plans on doing, because they want to time travel essentially and go back into their past, and that requires them going back to 3 different time eras. And yeah, trying to collect all the stones, because they plan on getting the stones, making their own gauntlet, and reversing everything. But yeah, it's like, is it that easy? Is it that simple? For the sake of this movie, it ends up being rather simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like everything that they planned on doing worked out. There were some hiccups along the way and some detours, but yeah, everything that they were planning and hoping essentially worked out. So yeah, we have 3 different times we're going through. So we'll start with this first one, New York in 2012, with the first Avengers movie, and Loki being recruited by Thanos and the Chitauri to go and destroy New York and do all that with one of the stones. So, Stephanie, how did you feel about going back to 2012 with the first Avengers movie?
Well, first, it's weird because they added in that lady from Doctor Strange.
Oh, the ancient one?
Yeah. That was weird. And I was like, really? Were you there? Because it didn't seem like you were there when all things were going horribly wrong in the first Avengers.
Yeah, when they were showing her, it looked like she was kind of helping out, too.
Yeah.
And she's a very powerful being, and yeah, it's like, couldn't she have helped out a little more?
It's like, you weren't really there. But it was just fun because, like, Hulk saw himself, and he was trying to pretend to be big, mean, angry Hulk, and it just wasn't working out. But I did like that they were trying to, they had to get past their original selves and stuff.
Yeah, they had to avoid themselves, let everything kind of transpire and happen as it will, but, still try to get the stones. Yeah, I really liked revisiting the first Avengers movie, because the first Avengers movie is still one of my all-time favorites.
And Tony and Scott checking out Steve's butt.
Oh, yeah.
That was the best scene.
Because they were like, oh, that's America's ass. and then, yeah, even Captain America's like, yeah, that is America's ass.
That was to please those Steve and Tony shippers. Because he's the first one who pointed out.
But yeah, I really liked revisiting the first Avengers. It's like, it was kind of bringing back some of that nostalgia You know? Like, oh, you get to kind of revisit this in a way. So yeah, some of the events that transpire here, I just really liked, you know, because they went back, they showed some scenes that we were already familiar with the movie, that first movie. But yeah, they kind of show some of them from different angles, because yeah, Tony's like spying around a pillar, and yeah, that whole scene where Loki's like, oh, can I have that drink now? You know, like, you're seeing some things from a different angle. And what I really loved about what this did is we kind of saw the aftermath of what happened with the battle with New York.
Yeah.
Because here comes S.H.I.E.L.D. And yeah, we didn't know at the time S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra.
Yeah.
And yeah, the characters in the present know that now, so it's interesting kind of having that knowledge that here comes S.H.I.E.L.D., they're all Hydra. Yeah, what do they really plan on doing with the stones, you know? Because we know they're not going to use them for good. And yeah, we see, like, Loki being escorted. You know, because the movie ends and Loki is being taken to Asgard, but we see him, like, kind of as they're trying to get him to that point. And, so yeah, just some of the little minor things here that happen within all this. Yeah, you already mentioned the Ancient One. I really liked all that stuff with Bruce and the Ancient One. And him trying to persuade her to give him the stone. And trying to explain to her, hey, you know, we'll have these branching
and
times,
even she knows that they're gonna get Doctor Strange. Well, I can't ever remember anybody's name. What is his name?
Steven.
That he's gonna join them.
Yeah.
Like, she knows.
She's already aware
She's already aware of all that stuff.
Yeah, she's already aware that Doctor Strange is out there. She's waiting for him.
And that he's gonna be powerful. Like, and then when Bruce sits there and brings up that he purposely gave the way, then she's like, oh.
Yeah, so I liked how Bruce was trying to persuade her, trying to explain the timelines, and that he promises to bring the stones back, and that once he does, that gets everything back in the same path. You know, that's how they were trying to explain the time traveling in this whole movie, because even though it was very complicated, it's like they were trying to explain that things were still going to transpire the same way, despite them changing what Thanos does. It's like things are still going to happen the same way once they put all the stones back, and then everything becomes one line again, instead of the branching things, with them taking it all out of the timeline, you know? So yeah, I like that with the Ancient One. And yeah, her kind of realizing, yeah, Doctor Strange, if he gave Thanos the stone, he did it for a reason. Because remember, Doctor Strange even said that there's a one in like a million chances of us winning. So she kind of knows, okay, that must be the one, you know? Yeah, Tony and Scott lose the damn Space Stone. Loki takes off with it. Where does he go? What does he do with it? Is it important? Is Loki coming back from the dead? Don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Loki, Stephanie?
No.
No thoughts on Loki? Yeah, I'm just really curious
It was funny, because he did notice that something weird was going on.
Yeah, he was in the know about, there's something weird going on here. But yeah, I'm very curious about Loki. We know Loki's getting that TV series spin-off on Disney+. I don't know if this has anything to do with that, possibly. Well, I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I love seeing Loki again. So they lose that Space Stone. This is where, wait, first of all, Steve, I forgot about Steve here before we get to that, because then Steve, present-day Steve meets 2012 Steve Rogers. That was really hilarious. I like that one-on-one. Because, yeah, 2012 Captain America thinks he's Loki in disguise.
Yeah.
So I liked how that was, because he thinks he's fighting Loki.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't think, oh, this is my future self I'm fighting with. So that kind of solves the time paradox problem, you know? So yeah, Steve and Tony, it's Tony's idea. Okay, I know another time we can go to get the stone. That takes them to the 1970s. They get the stone there. It's a little bit of work, but they get it, and Tony has a nice moment with Howard Stark, which was nice, which should have had me being suspicious from the very beginning that he had a final conclusion with his dad, that he's always had a problematic relationship with his own life. You know, I should have been aware that Tony was going to die by this movie, that he had that moment with his dad. Okay, so the New York 2012 stuff. Let's move to Asgard in 2013, which is pretty much the events of the Dark World. So the Dark World was important, you guys. Everyone always bitches about the Dark World, how much they hate the Dark World. But the Dark World is very important, as we see in this movie. So Rocket and Thor, they're going to Asgard 2013 to get the Reality Stone from Jane. We get a little bit of Jane. Even though Wikipedia told me that Jane, this was actually just unused footage with Natalie Portman from the Dark World that they used here. And yeah, weirdly enough, this, we don't really see Rocket go and do this. This is really just a minor part of this scene with him getting the stone. Really, the bulk of what all this is, it's Thor reunited with his mother who's dead, and him having this private moment with her.
Mm-hmm.
And
like he wants to warn her.
Yeah, he's trying to warn her, but she's aware that he's from the future. She knows that things can't be changed, and she's accepting her inevitable doom.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to know. So I really like that with Thor and Frigga. Because it's always been Loki and Frigga that have had the moments together. They were always presented as having that stronger relationship, because it seems like she's the one who raised him more. So, and yeah, we never really got anything with Thor and Frigga before this moment. So I like that, kind of bringing that back around and having an emotional conclusion to that, which was satisfying. And not only do they get the Reality Stone, but he gets Mjolnir from this time zone, which is nice. I didn't even think about Mjolnir, like him grabbing Mjolnir at all. So, yeah, I really liked Asgard. We go to Morag, 2014. Stephanie, Morag, could you remember what the hell Morag was?
I didn't know what the heck that was until Peter Quill popped up, and I was like, the beginning of... So we only were even in that place for like 5 minutes, and that was the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, they kept mentioning Morag, that they were going to travel to Morag, and I was like, what is Morag? And I couldn't remember, until Peter Quill popped up. In that scene, because then I remembered.
I'm supposed to remember what that place is called. That was in a movie for 5 minutes.
5 minutes, but yeah, I finally remembered then. Okay, so this is Nebula and Rhodey. Is that his name, Rhodey? War Machine. Nebula and Rhodey, they're primarily doing this whole mission. They're going to get the Power Stone from Peter Quill. We see him dancing, singing. It's like they're getting secondhand embarrassment watching him. Yeah, they knock him unconscious. They go in there. They successfully do get the stone, but Nebula, Nebula's pretty much a robot, isn't she?
Yeah, I think all of her is now.
Is she? I mean, is there any bit of a human in her, or is she strictly all robot? Is she kind of like an android, partial human, partial robot, maybe? I don't know. Either way, Nebula, she starts glitching and malfunctioning for whatever reason. And this kind of, both versions of herself, the 2014 version and the 2019 version, or whatever year, it's not even 2019 because of the 5-year jump, I guess. But yeah, present day Nebula and 2014
like
Nebula.
2023 or so.
Yeah, present day Nebula and 2014 Nebula. It's like I didn't entirely understand how this was working with the glitching, because they were both
because they were near.
I don't know. It was a little confusing. I kind of was just going with it, but yeah, because of the glitching, both of them kind of send their glitching at the same time. That's what alerts Thanos and 2014 Nebula and 2014 Gamora. It alerts their suspicions that something's going on, something's not right. They realize they have intruders from the future. And it's like, well, we gotta stop these intruders because they're going to destroy the Endgame plan that they have set up. So this is how we get Thanos back in the story, which is interesting. I really liked how they incorporated him back into the story, because they still kept him as the big villain. And yeah, I really liked having Gamora back. We'll talk about Gamora later, how she might function into things later. But yeah, I liked Gamora back. And yeah, we eventually the two Nebulas are swapped. The two Nebulas are swapped. I really liked how that was done in the movie, how the function it served, because after all this,
that means,
the bad Nebula
like,
goes back.
Rhodey saw her arm get burned off, because to get the stone, her arm got burned.
That's true.
But there was still the skeletal part, the metal of her, and that means when they got back, like, you would think, like, because it was, like, at least up to her elbow.
It was her whole arm.
And so you would think at least he would have been like,
what happened to your arm?
Oh, hey, Nebula. Like,
yeah.
Because it was her suit, too, right? It would have included her suit.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have thought...
Rhodey would have figured it out, like, what happened to your arm? Did your arm get better?
Yeah. Unless, too, like, actually the suit would have reformed, because how their suit kept forming over them. But still, once it came off, they all took their suits back off, so
because her plan, 2014 Nebula's plan, was just swapping some of the metal plates.
Yeah.
Because, 2014 Nebula is more purple and blue.
Yeah.
And present day Nebula has more of that orange and red, I think, doesn't she? So 2014 Nebula, all she did was just swap some of the plates. That was her. But it's like the arm is, I felt like, I didn't even think about it. I felt like the burnt arm was a dead giveaway.
Because then they did show her later, and her arm is still burned.
Burnt, destroyed. The metal's like melted. Okay, so one final place we gotta go to, Voromir. I'm not sure if there was a specific date for Voromir. I think that was that 2014? No, that was 2014 as well. Mm-hmm. Because Natasha and Clint drop off Nebula and Rhodey.
Yeah.
Okay. So Voromir, I liked how Voromir was done because it's kind of right here in the center of the movie. It's the emotional center climax of the movie, very much like what Thanos does to Gamora in Infinity War. It's pretty much identical and parallel.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the Red Skull. There's the Red Skull. He's given the whole spiel about, you gotta sacrifice a loved one to get the stone. So it's this big battle between Clint and Natasha, who's going to sacrifice themselves. I really like their little fight sequence, because it's like you think one's going over, but then the other goes, and then it's constantly going back and forth. Yeah. And they have their final moment together. I'm not sure. We were talking about this in the car on the trip home. What is the Clint and Natasha relationship? Did they love each other at some point?
What happened in Budapest?
Yeah, what happened in Budapest? Because we do get that reminder again, because Clint in the first Avengers is like, oh, this ain't like Budapest, and then he repeats like that same line in this movie.
Yeah, because now he's in space for the first time. He's like, this is better than Budapest.
So it's like, what happened to Budapest? Did Clint and Natasha love each other at some point? And
were they just super good friends that knew what the other was thinking?
Because I know he has a wife and children, and obviously he loves them. But is there always some part of him that has always loved Natasha? He'll never stop loving her. And then, as far as Natasha goes, I mean, she's the one who sacrificed herself, essentially. I mean, does she have love for him that has never been reciprocated? Is it kind of one-sided that he's never loved her the same way that she loves him, maybe? So I like that Natasha and Clint had this moment together, because I've never really been a fan of Natasha and Bruce, to be quite honest.
It never made sense to me.
Yeah, so I liked this final emotional moment and ending between Natasha and Clint, and he lets her go. Well, no, he doesn't let her go. She kind of forces him to let her go because she's struggling around and kind of finally gets out of his grip. Yeah, Natasha dies. Yeah, guys, this is the emotional center of the whole movie with her death, and it's very much paralleling what happened to Gamora. And when it's at this point, once Voromir ends, everyone goes back to the present. It's really sad what happened. Everyone's like, oh, we'll just go back and get her, but they can't. That's the whole point of the time travel that they were trying to explain it earlier in the movie, that it doesn't work that way. That's how they were trying to solve the questions of, well, you can just go back. It don't work that way. So Natasha sacrifices herself. How'd you feel about Natasha's death, Stephanie?
I mean, because once they landed there, it was like, well, someone's going to have to die.
Yeah.
There's no other way to get the stone. Because even they didn't know that, because they were just like, hey, just show us where the stone is. And he's like, it's not that simple. And so, I mean, I didn't want either of them to die. But, I mean, he has a family. And all she was saying was that she just wanted the Avengers all back together.
Yeah.
And I think, too, that because Clint has a family, that her thing was getting her family back, and having them be united, which was the Avengers, because she doesn't have a family.
Yeah, she has
the Avengers were her family.
Yeah, she has nothing and no one except for the Avengers, because she was always such a loner and by herself until she ran into all of them.
So I didn't want none of them to die, either of them. But
she felt the most appropriate.
I love Black Widow, but she was more appropriate to sacrifice herself.
Yeah, a really great sacrifice from Natasha. And once again, Natasha is supposed to have a spin-off movie. I don't know if they
it says it's takes place in around 2006.
Maybe it'll be Budapest. So either they're trolling us or there is a real movie for Natasha coming out. Either way.
No, there is. It still says there is.
Okay. Okay, so we got all that out of the way. Let's move to the ending of the movie pretty much. The ending's pretty lengthy. We got a gauntlet made, the stones are put in it, and yeah, Bruce, being the Hulk, we know that he can withstand a lot of pain and damage. So it makes perfect sense that Bruce is going to be the one to use the gauntlet, snap it, and he does. And we have kind of this moment of, did it work? Did it work? And it works. We see that Clint's wife is calling him on the phone. I mean, even the birds outside, when Scott's looking outside and looking at the birds.
Oh, nature's back.
Yeah, it's like, because
I like that was actually the first thing they show was nature has returned.
Because nature, nature is still very closely tied with humanity, and even wiping out humanity like that, I mean, that has a bit of effect even on, like, nature in some aspects, Because I don't know if him wiping out the planet also wiped out the animals.
Didn't they say it did?
Did it wipe out the animals? I'm not sure.
Because if you think about it, it actually was quiet during the movie. Yeah. There were no extra things.
Like birds chirping.
Yeah. And because they were focusing on that. They were focusing on the birds chirping and stuff.
So everyone who was dusted, everyone's back. We kind of see these little subtle things to suggest that. And this is where, 2014 Thanos and Gamora and Nebula, they all come in.
The thing is, I don't know if the Avengers thought that because, like, if they realized that the reason Thanos is there is because the whole Nebula thing. Because, I mean, essentially, it's not Nebula's fault, but because they were in the same time zone, I think that's essentially what it was because they were in the same time zone that they were able to communicate, and that's why they glitched. That if she hadn't have been sent to that time, that none of this would have happened.
They wouldn't have had a problem.
Yeah. So it almost makes me think, did the Avengers think that bad stuff happened because they did snap, and that brought with them other bad things?
Yeah.
Or did they realize?
I think it takes them a little while to realize that the portal has been opened.
Yeah.
And that Nebula is kind of the cause. It's not her fault, but it is, in a sense, both versions of her. Okay, so here comes the arrival of 2014 Thanos, Gamora, Nebula. We got a skirmish here. People are about to drown. Dear God, Rocket was pinned under rubble. I don't know how Rocket wasn't dead. He was crushed. Bruce he's about to be crushed. He's sitting there holding up the rock thing. Rocket's about to be crushed. Thank God. I thought Scott was. I guess he minimized himself to help reduce damage.
Quickly,
yeah. I thought Scott was in peril. Everybody was in peril under the building, essentially. We do have a confrontation with 2014 Gamora and present-day Nebula, and Nebula essentially trying to persuade Gamora to their side, which successfully works somehow, kind of conveniently.
I guess she was like, look, Dad's gonna throw you over a cliff to get a stone.
Yeah. So we finally get Gamora back on their side. This is where we get to the big, massive fight sequence. Everything initially starts with Thanos versus Steve, Tony, Thor. I liked that kind of four-way battle between all of them. But yeah, things aren't going very well for all of them. Initially, we do see Steve Rogers. He picks up Mjolnir. He's worthy of Mjolnir. Remember Age of Ultron? He kind of almost lifted Mjolnir, and yeah, Thor even says, "Oh, I knew it!" Like he knew Captain America could pick that hammer up at some point. So yeah, we get this really awesome badass moment with Steve Rogers picking up Mjolnir, and it was pretty awesome.
I'm sure if we would have been in a crowded theater,
everyone would be like, "Ah!" Okay, so it's during this massive fight. Everything's kind of going a little downhill for the main three characters. And just in the nick of time, here comes Stephen Strange opening up a portal, and then all the other magicians opening up portals. And we got every single goddamn character in the Marvel Universe, except for the Marvel Netflix characters. We got every character popping on up. We got every character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Really, Stacie, you think
popping up?
Jessica Jones would have survived flipping monsters?
You guys, all I've ever wanted, I just wanted Daredevil to pop up, and yeah, Jessica Jones. Goddamn, Luke Cage could have took down Thanos single-handedly. Iron Fist probably not no help. But still, I was getting excited, crossing my fingers, maybe Daredevil or somebody would pop up. But no, we got the whole damn cinematic universe you guys. It's a little overwhelming and confusing, but it's awesome and badass at the same time. Valkyrie is on a freaking Pegasus. That was the showstopper right there. When she came in on that Pegasus, I was like, hell yeah. Admit it, Stephanie. You love the Pegasus. You love the Pegasus, Stephanie. So we got this big fight, you guys. Not only do all the Avengers, but like the Black Panther brings in all of damn Wakanda. We got all the magicians. We got everybody. And so it does. It evens out the numbers between Thanos and our team, the Avengers. You know. So I like. What did you think about the battle? So what were some of your favorite parts of the battle?
It's like Return of the King.
Return of the King. Except not as many people died.
Yeah. I love the battle. I liked, you know, like so many people had interactions with each other that even in Infinity War didn't even have interactions with each other. So everybody was like, you know, had to trust each other. And then, well, Spider-Man meeting him running into Iron Man and stuff, and it was precious.
Yeah, Mr. Stark.
Mr. Stark, I was, you know, when I got dusted or whatever he said.
It's like, I was dusted, and then I came back, and then Dr. Strange said we had to go do this.
Yeah.
That was adorable. Like, to them, it's not been 5 years.
Yeah,
you know, because he said one moment I was being dusted, and the next moment I'm here.
So now, like, now that makes me think, is everybody who's come back from being dusted, are they 5 years younger than what they were
what they
supposed
are,
to
or
be?
what? Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because it ends, and Peter Parker's back in college, or not college.
Wait,
he's back in his high school.
yeah, because
So they still gotta go to school.
Technically, his friends would be out of school.
Well, if they were dusted.
Oh wait,
Because they had it like...
oh wait, I gotta think about there's a bunch of other people.
yeah, so, yeah, that's kind of a plot point. I'm not sure if they entirely thought about that. Yeah, has everyone aged? Does Peter Parker still need to go back to high school and finish up what he's missed? So,
That was cool.
awesome fight. Yeah, this is where we finally get Captain Marvel making her...
Oh, she came back.
Yeah, she makes her grand entrance kind of as things are going a little downhill as well. What did you like about the all-lady team-up? All the ladies in the Marvel Universe teamed up, and it was pretty epic. I liked it a lot.
It was also like, oh, how convenient that you all were near each other. I mean, really.
Because
You all magically just showed up together.
Peter Parker's over there clutching the gauntlet, remember, and he's like, I don't know what to do! And I think Carol comes over there and takes the gauntlet, right?
Yeah.
And then all the ladies...
And he's like, you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah, so all the ladies come up there and they said, we're going to help her get that gauntlet to wherever it's going, I guess.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. It took me a while to realize that was Pepper.
Oh, in the other Iron Man
Because
suit?
she showed up and I'm like, okay, that's an Iron Man suit, but like, okay, I don't really recognize her face.
Oh, really?
The helmet, that whole thing, it covered so much of her face and stuff that it was just a round face in there, and I was like, "Who is that?" Like, it took me several times. Several moments to realize it was Pepper.
I wasn't expecting Pepper to just pop up in an Iron Man suit. You know, that was a surprise, a pleasant surprise. Though. But yeah, I love the all lady team up. That was pretty awesome. And yeah, we see Wasp come back.
The Black Widow should have been there.
Yeah, no, that's I think
because she was in like that scene in Infinity War where the ladies were Not only
is the lady team up really badass and epic, but I think it also serves as a reminder. Hey, we've just lost one of our strongest ladies, which is Black Widow. You know, it's like you kind of have that in the back of your head as well, and it's kind of sad, but it's like, well, here's all these other ladies to take up the mantle, you know?
And Scarlet Witch was all scary.
Oh god, I love Scarlet Witch. Yeah, her sitting there going after Thanos and everything. Scarlet Witch always has a real
but that was funny, because she was like, you took everything from me. And Thanos was like, I don't even know who you are.
She's like, you will. Yeah, because he don't know any of these people. He doesn't have any personal thing with any of these people, because this is the 2014 version of him. Okay, so, yeah, the fight is going. Tony, the gauntlet finally makes its way to Tony. He finally gets all those stones, and, oh my god, you guys, Tony Stark, he's like, I am Iron Man. He snaps his fingers. He ends up dusting Thanos and his entire army. And in turn, Tony freaking Stark dies, you guys. Because the gauntlet was too powerful for him. It's like he knew that. You know, he knew that. because Bruce was the only one. Bruce could have barely even handle it.
Yeah.
You know? So Tony knows it's not going to be pleasant. He ends up making that sacrifice and he dies. Stephanie, what were the feels? What were the feelings you were getting when Tony Stark died?
Tony's my favorite Avenger. And that's not just a recent thing. That's been an always thing. That Iron Man was always my favorite. So, that was upsetting for me. Plus, then, of course, you bring in little blasted Spider-Man
Mr. Stark
to be like, Mr. Stark! All over again. They're like, Spider-Man made everybody cry in Infinity War. They made grown men weep. We're going to use Spider-Man again to make grown men weep again. So, that already was making it upsetting, because then he was back there like, oh no, Mr. Stark, don't, I can't remember what he said, like, don't go, or you'll be okay, or something.
I think his little thing right there was, like, sadder even than Pepper, and Pepper's the one married to.
Yeah, the bond between Spider-Man and Tony is more upsetting than, like, Pepper was just kind of like,
Yeah.
it's okay. So yeah, it was already upsetting, and then they're just like, Pepper was assuring him that it was okay to go, because everything was
Because he saved everybody.
Yeah.
He saved everybody, and it wasn't in vain. Yeah, his death, oh my god, that was sad. Ooh. Ooh. And he's really the only, besides Natasha, he's the only main character, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only main character. Because, yeah, you can't really even count Steve. We'll talk about Steve in just a second. But yeah.
The tears were rolling.
Ooh.
I was like, God, stop.
Yeah, that was a very emotionally satisfying conclusion for Tony. Like, no better ending possible for him. You know, he went out saving the world, saving all of humanity, essentially. Ooh, so good. Okay, so let's get to the end. The last little chunk of this review. We get Tony's funeral, which is very sad.
Yeah, I calmed down, and then they got to the funeral,
Yeah.
and everybody's standing there, and I was like, God sakes!
Yeah, it pans around to every single character. We finally get to see Maria Hill and Nick Fury.
I didn't even see Maria Hill.
She's barely there.
I saw Nick Fury, but I didn't see her.
They do. They finally get to those characters, which was nice. So some of the concluding things that it's like this movie is a conclusion to, what was it, 22 movies? This movie is a conclusion to all these 22 movies that we've been going through. But they also set up the future of what's to come, essentially kind of the new team of Avengers that we're going to be getting. You know? So they set that up. Thor, you know, Thor's character arc, him kind of being a mess, him being drunken, him kind of coming to that conclusion that he's not really a good king for Asgard and that he's kind of meant to do other things. And he passes that mantle of leadership to Valkyrie, which I liked. I mean, God, she's the only person pretty much left to run Asgard anyway. So I like that. How do you feel about Valkyrie taking control? Looking forward to that?
Sure.
More of her and some Pegasuses? Pegasi. I need some more of that.
There ain't really nothing to rule anymore, is there?
Just New Asgard, wherever they're at.
Just a little fishing village now.
Yeah, just a little fishing village. That was funny. So yeah, I really like that Valkyrie is going to be the new head of Asgard, essentially.
So it's like Thor just going to like go out and like maybe help save planets or something?
Thor in the meantime...
Is that what he thinks he's doing?
Yeah, Thor in the meantime, he goes to the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh wait, that's true. I forgot that part already.
He goes to the Guardians of the Galaxy. Prior to Thor even entering the spaceship, we do see Peter Quill kind of going through some stuff, and we see a quick shot that he's looking for the 2014 version of Gamora. Gamora apparently did not vanish, I don't think. Everyone else did, but not her, you know? So it looks like the way they're bringing Zoe Saldana back into this whole thing, that she'll still be part of the Guardians movies, is that this is going to be a version of her from the past. And she's going to be getting a do-over, essentially. You know,
she'll have to relearn to love
Peter Quill.
Because she was like, that's him.
That's the man I'm destined to love.
And then Gamora's like, it was either him or a tree.
Oh, Nebula said that. It was either him or a tree.
Nebula. Nebula was like, it was either him or a tree.
So yeah, it's like they're kind of rebooting Gamora in a sense. Yeah, she'll have to relearn to love all these people, relove Peter Quill. But yeah, I do. I hope they find her. You know, I hope they find her in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And yeah, I mean, is Thor part of the Guardians now? You know? Is he part of it? Or is he just going to kind of have a little cameo? You know? Are we even going to get more Thor movies? Will Thor get back in shape, you guys? That's the important question. And yeah, Loki. I just still don't know what's up with Loki, you know? He's the god of mischief, for crying out loud. So, in the meantime, everybody, after Tony's funeral, because Bruce promised the Ancient One, we're going to put the stones back where they were. Steve goes, he does exactly that. He puts all the stones back up in their proper places. Even Mjolnir goes back in its proper place. I'm glad they didn't forget about Mjolnir, because that's important. So when Bruce is trying to bring Steve Rogers back, and he's supposed to be back in 5 seconds, Steve Rogers does not reappear. So what happens next? Did he explain the ending?
He went back to his lady.
To Peggy Carter. Peggy Carter, you guys.
Which we were both thinking was going to happen anyway.
Once they traveled to the 1970s.
Because originally I thought he was going to stay in the 1970s, like that first time.
Yeah, the first
I started thinking he wasn't even going to go back.
Yeah, the first time
but I guess he'd have to, because he knew he had to get stuff done.
The first time they traveled back, I was like, oh, he's going to stay there. But then he still came back to the present. But yeah, I've had the fan theory for the longest time that Steve Rogers was going to die in this movie. It just felt like everything was building up to Steve Rogers dying. But yeah, once they did introduce the idea of time travel, and then yeah, he ran into Peggy, from afar, I was like, oh, I know exactly where this movie is ending. I was like, I know exactly where this is ending, because Steve Rogers, he's from another era. He's from a completely different era, and he's never really fully belonged in this era. He's never fully integrated and understood things, and that felt like a very satisfying conclusion for him, that he was able to go back to where he rightfully truly belonged, where he felt comfortable at, and he was able to be with Peggy Carter. And yeah, it ends, and they go up, and there's an old man, and it's Steve Rogers that, yeah, he went back, he stayed there, he aged. He got to have a full, happy life with Peggy Carter. Because I'm assuming she still died like how she died in Age of Ultron. So he got to have a complete, satisfying, full life, and it was really sad. And what does he do? What does he do at the end of the shield? Steph, you want to explain the shield?
He gives it to Falcon.
The mantle of Captain America goes to the Falcon. To Sam. Ooh, that was lovely.
So maybe Sam and Bucky will go out on bro adventures, and Bucky will... I like Bucky, though, with the gun. I think he's cooler with the gun.
And yeah, we know that Bucky and Falcon are supposed to have a spin-off series. Nope. So that's been nicely set up.
I hope this doesn't ruin, because he's the Falcon.
Yeah, I
love how his...
Yeah.
Because he's different flying around than just Iron Man and War Machine. Yeah. I like his wings. I like that he goes around flying and shooting people.
Yeah, I really like Sam as the Falcon, because just his whole design and look is so cool.
Yeah.
I really like him as the Falcon. And yeah, I as much as I love Falcon, you guys, the thing is, I've always personally really wanted the mantle of Captain America to go to Bucky. Steve and Bucky have always had that really tight relationship and bond. Everything that Steve has done has always been in the name of Bucky. Everything he's done has always been for Bucky. I mean, goddamn, Civil War. Everything in Civil War is because
he about killed Tony for Bucky.
Yeah, everything in Civil War is because of the Bucky and Steve relationship. And it's a little frustrating there at the end, and there's that really nice moment with Steve and Falcon, but I felt like that was taken away. Or I felt like something was taken away from the Steve and Bucky relationship.
Yeah.
They barely get anything.
Yeah.
They barely get anything.
They've been friends since the
40s.
Or
longer. And yeah, I feel like something's taken away there, which is a little unfair to a lot of the fans of that pairing. Not necessarily a shipping pairing.
Just a friendship.
Yeah, a friendship pairing, if you will. So I felt like that was kind of taken away, and I felt like having a moment with Steve giving that mantle to Bucky would have been more satisfying. Like I said, I love Falcon. I've always been up in the air that it would either be Falcon or Bucky that would get the Captain America mantle. So it's like it's a bittersweet thing there. It's like I like it in a way. I like that ending with Falcon in a way, but then another way I don't, because I feel like Bucky's just pushed to the side. He's just pushed to the side with no care, which is a shame. It's a shame to Sebastian Stan, who's been there the longest. And yeah, the movie ends, and it ends with Steve, we go flash back to wherever, and he's with Peggy in that dance. The dance he promised her in the first Avenger. The Captain America, the first Avenger. He has that dance with Peggy, and that's how it ends, and it's lovely. Yay, happy endings. So, Stephanie, in conclusion, just anything final to this movie? Anything final?
Oh, and then we were talking about at the funeral. The boy from Iron Man 3 was there.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So, like, is he there? Like, is he gonna be an Iron Man now? Like, is he gonna kind of take after him?
Or is it gonna be Tony's daughter as the new Iron Man?
Yeah,
Iron Lady.
Yeah.
Not Iron Woman. Yeah, this movie, because all the kids were kind of grown up, except for Tony's daughter. But yeah, like, even Scott's daughter was an adult now, pretty much. So she can be kind of a new version of Ant-Man, almost. You know? So yeah, in conclusion, to me, Avengers Endgame was awesome. I was pretty satisfied, for the most part, with everything that went down. Really great pacing. Didn't feel like 3 hours. Some emotional stuff there with Tony and Steve that I was very happy with. Even Natasha, I was very happy. I was really happy with the conclusions for a lot of these stories, since we're not really going to get any of these people ever again. So yeah, I guess we'll see how the next wave of Avengers is. If the movies are just as good as these. I'm having a hard time believing that this next batch of movies will be good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how do you compete with this 22 movie arc?
You know? It's almost like, should you end?
Yeah, it's like there's a part of me, it's like, just end it. You know, this is the perfect conclusion
because
to this.
Then they're going to want to, after another 20 movies, are they going to want to have another massive battle?
Yep. So yeah, it's like, it's complicated feelings. It's like, I love all of these characters and this world so much. It's like, I kind of just want it to end. You know, this was a fantastic, perfect 22 movie arc. You know, that's never been done before, and I don't think it's going to happen again. You know, they're going to try to attempt it with this next wave of Avengers. I don't think it's going to be as successful, you know? So is that it?
Yep.
You guys, this is a very long review. You guys, in the comments below, tell us how you felt about Avengers Endgame. Satisfied? Not satisfied? Did you cry? Just admit you cried. So that's it for this review. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.